Hello, my name is Raymond Karchevsky, and I am a living Christ. I'm 78 years old, and I mention my age to make a point that age itself applies to the physical body, the space suit that we wear to live on this plane of existence. You see, we are not our bodies. We are not our minds. We are infinite intelligence. We are all that aspect that we call God. The God that is within us and the God that is without. You see, we have been affected since birth by behavior modification based in mind control tactics, satanic tactics, which apply to the intellect. And intellect, of course, is that which guides the technical aspect of life. The distortion that has occurred by the increased use of the intellect, which has brought about contradiction and conflict throughout our lives and the lives of others before us since the beginning of time. One may call that the fall from grace. You see, we use language, we use words, ideas, concepts to communicate with each other about things that are beyond the scope of such concepts. But the intellect cannot grasp them. The intellect being the conscious aspect of mind, which rules the lives of men and women who have been made to doubt themselves. Earlier I mentioned my age to prove a point, and that point is that age is really irrelevant, for we are eternal beings, but find ourselves trapped in temporal mind and body consciousness. And we call that our lives, experiences of that which create within ourselves unknowingly for the most part. Because most of you listening to me are mind-controlled, robotic servants of Satan, the petty god of intellect that has been able to make you doubt yourselves, to capitulate to that doubt, and agree, contract with the unholy entity of Satan to serve such agenda which is laid out for you. Your educational systems have destroyed your ability to use your consciousness as it was meant to be. You see, life itself is infinite. No beginning, no end. It is not bounded by parameters that only exist in the intellectual aspect of consciousness, your conscious mind. And you believe that to be all there is. I'm speaking to all, but In this talk specifically, to my fellow senior citizens, you have spent a great many years on this plane of existence, and each of you have had varied experiences that you have created by your own ability to project that which you believe to be true. You are believers. What is a believer? A believer is a non-discerning human entity that cannot go beyond the parameters of limited thinking. And so that limited thinking comes about by your ability to give up your true estate, your true right to be an infinite child of God, an infinite creation of God, capable of acting, of creating, of taking responsibility for your lives. Early on, you've been trained to obey authority. Such authority is just an illusion. It has no existence except for one who is trapped within their intellect, who responds, who reacts to the contradictions that are ever occurring within that limited aspect of mind. You see, we have lost touch with our subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the mind of God, of infinite intelligence, unbounded, timeless. You see, we all have that within us, and yet we forego it in favor of seeking security through the conscious mind, the intellectual mind, the mind of Satan. And so it is. Once accepted, once agreed to, one consented to, one steps into hell, the hell of contradiction, the hell of violence, of separation, division. Many of you, that's what life is. The sensations, the frictional sensations that accompany contradiction. That is the life that you worship. You seek experiences. Never satisfied. Never clear. Always looking for more, more, more. You've been trained to live that way. And that is the satanic treadmill that you find yourselves on, treading throughout life to earn a living. When living requires no earning whatsoever, it is what is. It is the state of your consciousness. If you were at peace, at one-ment with truth, your life is effortless. But if you have succumbed to the temptation of satanic thought, you're always striving for more, 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 more. More what? Understand? The more is always an illusion. It is that which entraps you into a state of mind that you are never satisfied. And so you struggle. You struggle in contradiction, trying to achieve the more, never satisfied with what is. And it wears you out. It destroys your life force. It makes you doubt yourself. It causes you to believe that you are not worthy of life, that you will do anything for anyone who will tell you what you want to hear. You crave security. But what is security if not fear of the unknown, wanting to have some sort of stability to one's life in a crazy, unstable world, a world of constant friction, constant strife, violence? That is the world that you have accepted as your own. Be very clear upon that, you see. Because if you understand how you became so conflicted in your life to the point that at this late stage, as a senior, you're ready to cave in, to give up. You accept the fact that you, in body and mind, are destroyed, and you await death. You are broken human beings. You've been broken by your own ignorance, the ignorance of what lies beyond the intellect that you so worship. I'm 78. It means nothing. The spirit that is truly who I am has not changed in my life. It is the same spirit that I had at the age of 5. Wasn't able to express it then, but the resonance of that energy was clearly present. Present then, present throughout the years of my life, the 78 years of my life. It was present during all the experiences that were testing, prodding me to give in like the rest of you have. I did not. And it brought me to the point of now, this very moment, and it has not changed. So clearly I am not your average 78-year-old man. I'm not your average man at any age. That's not a boast. That is something that each of you still have. But the doubt that resides within you is so great, so overwhelming, that you cannot possibly conceive living a life of peace. We are eternal beings. By eternal, I mean we are timeless beings, beyond the limitations of time and its constraints. And when that timeless energy is applied to the moment of now, one is the creator of that life. The intellect may pop up and say, no, God is the creator, and you are merely its subject. But that is the satanic temptation that has always ruled your thought. It is not true. You are the creator of your own life. For much of the life that you leave has been one of great consternation, great contradiction, unresolved understanding. And so you live in fear, looking for someone or something to alleviate that fear. And so you create the kind of life that will provide that for you. And you believe that you have found the answer. But it never relieves you of the stress, of the confusion that rules your consciousness, does it? You're always seeking help, guidance from anyone but your own self. Isn't that true? You see, you're barking up the wrong tree. You are the creator of your life. You've always been, you will always be. There is much about life that you don't understand, unless you will react to what I say to you. But I say to you here and now that you are an aspect of God itself, as you perceive it through your intellect. But beyond the intellect, that limited perception does not exist. You are one with God. You are all there is. You are the I am that I am. And that is the salvation that most of you blind, believing, cult-indoctrinated members of satanic institutions have striven for all your lives and have not yet found, but now experience an exhaustion, a spiritual exhaustion. You've had enough. You're ready to die. You want death to relieve you of the pain of life that you have known. Death will come to all of us. But it's the death of the body and the death of the mind, which is the ending of that particular aspect of materialism that is a false created existence that we believe to be true. You see, many of you will not understand what I've just said to you, and most of you will be angry. For what it does is it challenges you to examine your own intellect, your own conscious mind, and realize that it is all an illusion. Ideas that you hold and project outwardly in your relationships. And therefore you create the experiences rather, that you have in your relationships. And you never find peace, and are still searching for it at whatever stage of life. You see, the youth are no different than the senior, other than they have energy that has not been dissipated through doubt. And so they have not learned what you have learned, but they have a great deal of energy behind that ignorance. And they are willing to fritter that energy away. And that is the experience of aging, is it not? Of gaining experience, of building a life. But what kind of life is it that is being built? Let's see. You are being controlled by older people who have gained some experiences, but they have not been able to let go the need for power, the need for control. These are the people who control your minds. These are the satanic minions that rule over the intellect. Then you have people like me, simple people, uncluttered minds, clarity, directness of perception and action. That is the nature of truth. And each and every one of you have that within you, but you, as I have said before, have frittered it away until you lack the energy to function holistically in the moment of truth. Isn't that what life is? The learning process, the experiential test to determine the validity of your beliefs. There'll come a point where you must stop all of these intellectual games and just be quiet and merge with life as it unfolds in that moment of now. And then you'll find the peace that has eluded you all of your lives. And I'm speaking to you senior citizens, you senior people who have wasted your lives by this counterfeit belief that you so strongly adhere to. It's time for civilized society to wake up, to realize that any function, any institution, any activity that is based in collective thought is satanic and self-destructive. To be free, one must be whole. And all believers are but fragmented men and women who live a very narrow slice of life and believe that to be the whole, and find themselves in contradiction and conflict with others who choose to live a different slice of life. In that fragmentation, they create societies which enslave them, which bind them, which promise them relief but never does. This living Christ, this 78-year-old man, is here to tell you that it's all an illusion, always has been, is now, and shall ever be. Time for you to wake up. Time for you to shake off the illusions of hypnotic suggestions that have molded your life, your purpose, your ideas, your concepts, all of your lives, and thus has entrapped you, enslaved you through such limited thinking. You're beyond that. Start living it. Thank you for your time.